Modern life. Between careers, kids, and health, it can be mayhem. That's why we're here. I'm Dr. Lisa Varghese Kroll.
And I'm Dr. Lanre Falusi. We're physicians, moms, and longtime friends who break it all down for you. Wondering how to juggle all the balls and still stay sane? Looking for advice but don't want to be overwhelmed?
Curious about how to make the most out of life for your family but enjoy it at the same time? You're in the right place. Welcome to Health and Home with the Hippocratic hosts.
On this episode, we're asking, can friendships make you live longer? We all know that having friends is important, but do they really affect your health? And how can we make more friends, whether as a kid or an adult? Keep listening for all that and more.
Hey, Lon.
Hey, Lise.
We've been training for decades for this question.
Yeah. Truth. And all those years of late night gossip and ice cream were increasing our lifespan, right?
Yes, they were. See, we're so forward thinking, sensible.
Our children would definitely agree.
They should. Okay, look, now I think everyone would agree that friendships are a truly enriching part of the human experience, right? I mean, most people value their friendships, and most people wish they could have more time with their friends, if not more friends overall. I know that when I look back on my life, other than my family, of course, I have so many wonderful memories with friends. Our group of friends in college and med school, childhood friends I grew up with, work friends, church friends, neighbors, and you, of course, my lovely Lanre. We have so many fun and funny memories together. We could write a book. Okay, so that makes me want to put you on the spot. What is one of our funniest memories that stands out to you?
So many. I think one thing that cracks me up the most is how at every party in college and med school, we were always the ones where if there was like, God forbid, a 2-second lull in conversation, we would be like, let's play a game. And all of our friends would groan and try to run out the room. And we're like, let's play a game, friends. And
where are you
going? It was just like taboo. Yeah, exactly. Why am I just seeing all of your retreating backs? Taboo or like normal games. But a lot of times it's also just like some random thing that we made up because we thought it would be hilarious and not so funny to anyone else. But those were fun times.
That is a hilarious memory. And you know what? It was funny to everyone else because they all secretly loved it. It was hilarious to everyone.
Sure
so many funny photos from those kinds of impromptu games. And that's a really great memory to me too. And for me, it's hard to pick just one, but this isn't a 3-hour show, so
yeah,
I'll have to. But I laugh every time I think of us randomly running into the TV host Dr. Drew in Las Vegas during our 4th year of med school and ending up being interviewed for his TV show. Like, who knows what cutting room floor that footage is on today? And I also laugh.
It was definitely not our entree to Hollywood.
Shocking, I know. Okay, this is breaking news, but no, Dr. Drew was not our big break. But I also laugh every time I remember us running into the singer Robin Thicke during your bachelorette party in NYC.
Yes.
And ending up taking awkward pictures with him and probably ruining his peaceful spa day. Oh man, great photos from both these events.
Stalking him throughout the spa.
The restraining order runs out any day now, okay? So, but the thing is, it's not just all the fun times we've had or fun places we've been to. Friends are also important for help during hard times or to tell you an unpopular opinion you might need to hear.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, but okay. Although we would probably all agree that friendships are important, can having friendships really make you live longer? That's our question today. And it's especially timely because recently in 2023, the U.S. Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, issued an advisory on the epidemic of loneliness and social isolation in the United States. We'll link to that advisory in our show notes at our website on hippocratichost.com.
And, when the Surgeon General is calling the lack of social relationships a public health crisis, we have a responsibility to look into this. So, an article from the Public Library of Science Medicine Journal examined the link between social relationships and mortality risk. We'll also link to this article in our show notes at hippocratichost.com. These researchers wanted to know to what extent social relationships affect mortality and which factors are most involved. And they started by pointing out that modern society involves far fewer close connections than humans historically used to have. Today, people regularly move far from their families for work, to the other side of the country, or even the other side of the world, and people rarely live close to extended families such as cousins and second cousins. More and more people are living alone, more and more people work remotely, which means they don't even see work colleagues on a regular basis, and more people report fewer close relationships. Lots of people don't know their neighbors, when for most of human history, you shared your daily life with everyone who lived in your village.
Oh, that's so sad and really interesting because this kind of narrowing down of our social circle is pretty new. So we don't necessarily know all of the long-term effects of it just yet. This particular study found that people with stronger social relationships had a 50% increased likelihood of survival than those with weaker social relationships. And before you think that maybe that was because those people tend to be, maybe sicker or have more chronic illnesses, actually, that dramatic effect was consistent across a number of factors, including age, sex, their initial health status, and even the cause of death.
That makes loneliness, in terms of how it can lead to death, comparable to the risk of smoking and alcohol consumption,
Wow.
and worse than physical inactivity and obesity. So striking, right? Pretty sobering. Now, of course, all of these conclusions depend on many things, like how we define social relationships, like does your barista count? I mean, they see you a lot. How we define the strength of social relationships and other factors. But still, these conclusions mean we have to take this seriously.
Right. And it's not just that one study. There are several. We'll link to one more in our show notes at hippocratichost.com. This one is from the journal Epidemiology and Psychiatric Sciences, which specifically looked at the health effects of friendships on older adults. And they used the term friendship recession to describe what's happening around the world, which is just so evocative and sad, isn't it? A friendship recession?
Ugh.
So, this study quoted a 2021 survey in which 12% of respondents reported having zero friends, up from just 3% 30 years ago. And 49% reported having 3 or fewer closer friends, up from 27% just 30 years ago. And this particular study found that having close friendships reduced the risk of stroke and depression, and also reduced overall mortality rates by 24%. So interestingly, that article notes that even among senior citizens, friends can be positive or negative influences. So peer pressure is not just for kids.
So next time your grandmother goes out, make sure she's not hanging out with the wrong crowd.
We're watching you, all you grandmothers out there.
But this does raise the question of why friendships affect mortality. Some of it may be biological. For example, a number of studies show that social support is linked to better immune functioning. And friendships can improve health also through peer pressure. If your friends are into exercise, there's a good chance you'll be influenced to exercise too. If your friends don't smoke, you're not likely to want to be the only one lighting up. Positive habits are contagious, which can have a direct effect on health and longevity.
But it works both ways. People whose friends are heavy drinkers are more likely to drink more themselves. People whose friends are risk takers will often be less cautious themselves. So peer pressure alone can't explain why friendships help us live longer, because it could be negative peer pressure.
That's right. So there are obviously other things that friendships give us. Some of those things are intangible, right? The feeling of belonging to a group, of being accepted by others, having your self-worth reinforced, being able to share your interests with others.
And there are tangible benefits as well. If you're sick, good friends can bring you a meal or pick up your kids. If you're injured during an activity, friends can get help. If you've fallen on hard times, friends can share resources with you. If you're going through a bad experience, friends can be a listening ear or give advice.
Like, it's hard to get through the toddler years without friends. I really
Hmm.
feel for parents who live in isolated areas or don't have much community. Some days when my kids were little, the only thing keeping me sane was knowing that my kid was going to have a play date and I was going to get to have some adult conversation with the other kid's mom.
Seriously, someone to commiserate with, right? And it's hard to get through school without friends. There are
Hmm.
so many times that we all studied together or took notes for each other or pumped each other up after a tough exam,
Totally.
right? And one of the reasons why bullying is so destructive is not just because of the painful words and actions, but because it can interfere with the development of good friendships during the school years. In our episode 57 on bullying and cyberbullying talks more about this.
Yes, and as you know, my husband and I always say that spouses and friends and siblings too are like shared hard drives. Your memories are duplicated between each other. And being able to share memories with another human is so powerful. It's a true bond, and it helps you
Hmm.
remember things about your own life long after you might have forgotten them on your own. I've lost track of the number of times that you've reminded me of a particular detail of some episode in our past and vice versa.
Yeah, and some of those details are things I'd rather forget, like, I don't know, several of our late 90s fashion choices. Thank you very much.
Hey now, my plaid shirts and chokers were a thing of beauty, okay?
Oh, yes, they were. They were, and my Doc Martens are going to get their second chance to shine any day now.
Your kids will steal them, mark my words.
Right. These trends are all coming back, so that
It's
might be
all a
true.
circle.
So, if friendships quantifiably make you live longer, how do we improve our friendships and make more friends in adulthood, which is a notoriously difficult time to make friends?
Okay, this is hard for most people, so if it feels daunting to you, don't beat yourself up. You are not alone. But forging social connections is really important for our well being, and there are a few tricks that can make it easier. Firstly, be willing to make the first move. Don't let the fear of rejection stop you from inviting someone to do something. If you have an acquaintance at work, a fellow parent at a kids' event, a neighbor, anyone you've encountered a couple of times who seem like they might be cool, ask them if they want to grab a coffee sometime. What I've found is that most people are actually eager to make new friends themselves and are really enthusiastic when someone else reaches out. But if your schedules are too crazy to make it work, or if the person you ask doesn't seem very interested, don't take it personally. It may take several casual coffees to find a good friend. Just resolve to keep trying.
Yeah, and another good tip is to get involved in activities that will naturally put you in proximity with people who share an interest with you. Whether that's a sports team, a hobby club, a church, a political cause. If you're around people who are also interested in that thing, there's a good chance you might find a friend there.
Right. And volunteering is another strategy. When people are focused on helping others rather than on themselves, they let their guards down, and you might find that friendships form more organically.
Or you can try apps like Meetup or Bumble for Friends, which is also called Bumble BFF. So Meetup organizes local groups and activities that anyone can join. You pick an event that sounds interesting, and you're likely to meet other like-minded people. Bumble for Friends is literally a dating app for friends. So one of the great things about the internet age is having resources like this. I actually have a
That's
family
right.
member who used it, and she was able to meet a few people, which was great. But just be aware that like other social platforms, they do use an algorithm, so it might limit the potential like world of friends that you might see on the app, which could be a good or bad thing.
Another tip is to host something in your home. Pick a few people and invite them all over for something casual. This is a good way to get to know a few people at once, and it might even be the start of a new friend group if everyone clicks.
And don't underestimate the importance of reconnecting with old friends. Reach out to friends who you haven't seen in a while, or even those with whom you might have lost touch. If you shared a connection in the past, it might still be there today. And they might also be in a place in their lives where they can now nurture the relationship too.
All great tips. But what about for kiddos? Conventional wisdom says that making friends is a lot easier for kids than it is for adults, but that's not always true. So, how can we help our kids learn this valuable skill and form positive friendships?
So teaching social skills really begins at home. So modeling empathy, practicing having conversations at the dinner table, helping kids learn not to interrupt others, these are all so important. And so is teaching kids how to show interest in others instead of just waiting for the next turn to talk. And teaching kids a very important skill, how to apologize sincerely.
That's a big one for sure. That will last them their whole
We're working
lives.
on that in my house.
Right.
Right.
But, you can help lubricate the wheels of social relationships for your kids by signing them up for activities, making their friends feel welcome at your house, planning play dates, and getting to know their friends' parents.
If your child has issues with aggression or emotional control, you might want to help them address these issues with a professional if necessary, such as your pediatrician or a therapist.
And let them see you prioritizing adult relationships. Inviting people over or making time for a coffee or a phone call shows kids that social relationships are important throughout life, and it increases the chance that they will make the effort to do the same when they grow up, which, as we've learned, can help them live longer, healthier lives.
Oh, yeah, that's exactly what I tell my kids when I go away on a girls' weekend. I'm doing it so that you can live a longer, healthier life. It's not for me.
Right.
It's for you.
You're welcome. And you know what? Maybe because of our efforts, one day, they too will take their friends to pester a random celebrity into an embarrassing photo op. I can't wait for that day. So that's our show for today. Thank you as always for listening and for all of your support. How have you made new friends as an adult? Do you have tips for others? Because we'd love to hear from you. Hit us up on social media, follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and all other major social media platforms, and subscribe and review us on Apple Podcasts because reviewing helps other people like you find the show. And if you'd like to support us with a monthly donation, just go to our website at hippocratichost.com and click on the Become a Friend of the Show button. We'll be forever grateful. Thanks, everyone, and talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to Health at Home with the Hippocratic Hosts. Remember that all views expressed here are our own, not our employers, and all content is for informational purposes only and should not be construed as medical advice, nor the establishment of a doctor-patient relationship. Always consult your own physician or healthcare team for any medical issues.
If you enjoyed this episode, please rate us, subscribe, and tell a friend. And check out our website at www.hippocratichosts.com for show notes on this and all our episodes. Can't wait to chat with you next time.